The Education Channel presents District Digest, an inside look at the Collier County Public School District. First, the latest news.
Thanks for joining us. Here's what's happening. We told you a few weeks ago about a series of Title I Parent Academy workshops that will be held throughout the district this year. And the kickoff event held at Golden Gate High School was a huge success.
It's our first time we've ever had a Parent Academy workshop for the entire district at one time.
So these Parent Academies are going to be happening throughout the district at the schools. What's the overall goal?
We are reaching out to our parents because the key to increasing student achievement is to get the parents involved on a very individual level with their students. And so we're giving classes on workshops to help the parents understand how to help their students in school, as well as self-advocacy so they can help themselves and by that be great role models for their students at home.
There is absolutely no substitute for being personally engaged and personally involved in our child's education. So with parents and families and educators working together and the students working with all of them to get the best result possible, that's really the key to success.
So why are you here today?
I'm here today to observe because I'm involved in a youth organization and I enjoy knowing that Collier County is offering resources for the parents themselves so they can learn, because that's something I always wanted to do, is to be able to teach, to be between the parent and the student so they have a knowledge, because some parents really do not have that knowledge that those resources are available to them, and at the same time some of them do not understand the language. So therefore there is a lack of communication, and I'm enjoying this to the fullness.
We've been so fortunate because when we went out to find our partners, people came in from all over. They wanted to participate when they found out this was for our Title I families. It's been really great.
So we really want to thank all the district staff that made this happen, be it our transportation department, our translators that were here today. But the biggest thanks goes out to our community partners that are providing so much information for our parents. And the biggest thanks of all is to our parents. Thanks for having them come. They've brought their kids too, so it's a great day to learn how they can help their kids at home, because we know it's a partnership with parents and the schools. So we're just thankful for everyone here today, and it's an exciting day for Collier County Public Schools.
Now coming up on this edition of District Digest, we'll talk about the upcoming financial aid nights at several of our high schools. Then we'll find out the various ways East Naples Middle School is increasing its parent involvement. We'll get an update from the Shelter for Abused Women and Children and the services they provide to our community. And finally, we'll learn about Destination Graduation and how this program helps at-risk students. That's all straight ahead on this edition of District Digest. Plus,
this is Tracy Kohler. Join me for a special feature here on District Digest coming up in about 10 minutes. We'll tell you what's cool in school.
Please stay with us here on the Education Channel, your window to education.
On the air on Comcast Cable 99 and online at collierschools.com.
Attention Collier County Public School parents. Have you ever wondered if your child's school bus is running late on any given afternoon? Well, we've got good news. You can now find out if your child's bus is late on the trip home by going online. Check the homepage of the school district website at collierschools.com. When a school bus is delayed by more than a half hour, a late bus notice link appears on the right side of the home page. Click on it to find out.
District Digest presents a District Office Update with Maribel De Armas.
today we're starting off talking about money, specifically financial aid to attend college. We've got Chris Smith here, and he's the school district's coordinator for high school counseling. Thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome.
You were actually with us just recently.
Yes, I was.
Talked about college night, and I hear that was a grand success.
Yeah, it was a very nice evening for parents and students. I had 97 colleges and universities represented, and well over 2,000 people in attendance.
I saw pictures of it, and it was packed house.
It was a packed house, yes.
A lot of energy in there.
A lot of energy, absolutely.
Cool. So we've got something coming up sort of similar but a little different. On the same vein of college and post-secondary education, financial aid nights, what do those look like?
Okay, we've got 7 financial aid nights that are set up throughout the district. Earliest one starting in October, going all the way until the end of January. Parents and students can attend any of the nights. You don't have to be in that zone school.
Okay.
So if you can't meet one of the nights, you can go to one of the other nights. It doesn't make any difference. We want to get the information that's out for parents and students to understand that there is money available to continue your education after high school. The top of the list is scholarships.
Sure.
Okay, and our district website has a lot of information that is available to students and parents concerning that whole process, including right now we have 80 scholarships that are advertised on the website. We've got a new folder that we've just added up there, which is all of the financial aid and scholarship links to all of the college night attendees.
Okay. So the colleges that participated?
Absolutely,
Okay.
yes. So we've got all that information up there. And so for the financial aid nights, we're going to exclusively talk about the free application for federal student aid.
Okay.
So scholarships are the free money that's out there. If there's still the need for more financial assistance, it would start with the FAFSA.
Okay. And it seems like year after year, at least I've heard, that a lot of money is left on the table government-wise, because that's kind of what FAFSA is all about. Because families or students don't fill out the FAFSA, don't know how to, how can we alleviate that?
I wish there was a good answer to that question. With regards to scholarships, and there's always money left on the table with scholarships, that's the student's responsibility.
Sure.
You know, they really need to take that ownership and run with it, and that takes a lot of time. You know, the application's got to be filled out. Usually there's a resume, there's an essay. All of that's got to be completed, and it's got to be submitted by a specific deadline. So it's important for the student to understand that's their responsibility.
Sure.
You know, parents can surely assist, parents can surely prod, but it's the student who's going to actually do the hard, heavy lifting with regards to the applications. With regards to financial aid, that is a situation where we have to wait for the end of the year,
Right.
December, before we can begin filling out the FAFSA form.
And that's because of tax
And that's
reasons,
because
right?
of the tax purposes. So, and that includes both parent and student
Sure.
income. What's important is that the sooner we get this completed and get it submitted to the government, who then submits it to the college and universities that they've indicated, the better off the student is down the road. Because then they look at grants, which is free money, okay? They might look at work study, and they might look at financial aid where you would pay that money back.
Right, sure. Now, on the scholarship side, since it's a lot of local funds that are available just right here in Collier County, I hear that there's a kind of a one application stop for some of those, the CCPS application. Is that
Yeah,
still going on?
That still exists out there. Many of our local organizations that provide scholarship money, and most of this we don't see until later on, January and beyond, will use our application. So you fill out the application once, you fill out the financial part of it once, you fill out the essay part once, and you can use it for
several things.
several of them.
Wonderful,
Yes.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we're running out of time here, so last suggestion, parents, high school kids, talk to your high school counselors for more
Absolutely. You
information.
know, I always say that. You know,
Yep.
the counselors are the place where you're going to find out the most information and the most accurate information.
Well, thank you again for joining us.
Absolutely.
It's time for our District Digest School Special.
Joining us now is Darren Burkett, principal at East Naples Middle School. Darren, thank you for joining us.
I'm glad to be here, Greg.
Darren, you had a very innovative idea when we were talking before about parental involvement. It's one of those challenges I think all schools deal with. What did you guys do to tackle it?
Well, Greg, we are a Title I school. So as part of being a Title I school, we have a dedicated plan to parent involvement. It's called the Parent Involvement Plan for Title I. So what we did this year is we took some of our allocated funds through Title I and we designated a person to work for a .5 full-time position at our school, a support personnel person, a non-professional, non-faculty member, whose dedicated job is to increase parent involvement in our school.
How do you do that?
Well, What we designed as an administrative team and with our new parent involvement coordinator, what we did is we sat down and we said, what are the best ways to get our parents in here? What are the best ways? What are the things that we need our parents to be able to know and to do with their child and to help support their child on a day-to-day basis? So what we did is we came up with a series of 6 evening programs for parents, and then we've scheduled them throughout the school year. And that's how we're going about getting parents in the door and then educating them about the things that really they need to be aware of as parents.
The big news in this, it's working. Tell me about your most recent parent meeting and your turnout.
Well, we had we had our first parent workshop was in September. It was called Building the Foundation for Success. It was sponsored by Home Depot. We played upon the whole building theme. And typically on a traditional parent type of workshop night, last spring we had a couple of these types of things and we only had single-digit turnout. We had upwards of 40 parents there at our first one.
Excellent.
In September.
To parents that don't necessarily go to your school, but the bigger picture of it, as an educator, talk to me about how important it is and what steps, what are the couple simple things that as a parent I should be doing to help you educate our children?
Probably the most important thing with anything is communication. We all have busy lives. Everyone's busy. You're busy. I'm busy. I have children myself. And sometimes we find it hard to even stop, take some time to just talk to our children. You know, ask them about their school day. You know, I encourage all of our parents, even before school we had a transition program for our grade 6 students coming in. We had close to 300 parents at that event. Wow. And the main message that I communicated to our parents is that they need to take time to speak to their child every day. And it could be something as simple as, how was your school day? Tell me what you learned, you know, before you even get into the whole, do you have homework tonight conversation. But stop and have a conversation about the school day with your child. That's probably the first thing we need to do. And sometimes as a busy adult myself, I have to stop and think, like, I'm having conversations with all these other children. I need to make sure that I'm having those conversations with my own children.
When you get the parents in, and you were just telling me earlier that you had this new influx of parents that hadn't come before. You had also said before that your staff can only go so fast, right? When you guys are at 100% and you're doing all you can, that parental involvement's key. What is the important thing about getting them in the door? What do those parents bring in that quite frankly, we as educators can't provide?
Well, the example I was giving you earlier is that I kind of use it on a sort of a pie chart. If our faculty and our support staff is working at 100%, we're doing everything we can and we've maximized productivity and efficiency within our building, the next great leap for us has to come from something outside of our building. And the first group that we really need to connect with and make a connection with and help support the educational process are parents. So what we need parents to do is, there's probably a quick checklist of things that parents can do to instantly support their child in the classroom. So we know that if we can teach our parents those things, that their students can be successful.
Last question, tell me about your Saturday program.
We've started a Saturday program. It's begun this fall. We have 7 Saturdays scheduled throughout the fall, which is pretty exciting stuff. Its basic concept is that we're tying in the new emphasis on writing across the district in the new statewide assessment. We're tying those writing pieces into some things that really engage students in fun learning activities and making the two connect and having students see that connection.
Excellent. Darren Burkett, Principal, East Naples Middle School, thank you for joining us today.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
District Digest continues as we open your window to education, taking you inside the classroom so you can see what's cool in school. With BYOD, STEM, and today's cool school technology, here's Dr. Tracy Kohler.
Sable Palm Elementary School has partnered with 4-H to deliver an exciting hands-on robotics experience to 5th grade students. These students will develop decision-making and critical thinking skills and implement an understanding of the scientific and engineering design processes as they build real and virtual robots. 5th grade teacher Maria Larocco explains.
For my class, it's about making the connection between real world and science. So often these kids are limited in their experience to, just what we have in the classroom. So we have to make sure what we're providing in the classroom really makes that connection to real world. They can see the connection between aeronautics, they can see the connections to car manufacturing, they can see so many different applications for what they're learning, and that makes a huge difference to them. And they get excited. They get a chance. It's not just about taking a remote control and moving a robot around. These kids are learning to program robots, and that's going to bring them so many more opportunities as they move through school and then into careers.
According to Principal Angela Lettieri, robotics is part of a larger STEM plan for Sable Palm Elementary, including a goal to expand the program to 4th grade.
So this is a 6-week program that the 4-H is doing for us, with us, and our goal is to be able to purchase for all of our 5th grade classrooms. I'd love to extend it to 4th grade classrooms as well, but we'll start with 1 grade level at a time. We started with 5th grade because obviously they're the older children, and we wanted to capture them because they're very excited and they have a passion for science. And so we wanted to start with them before we lose them, when they get to higher grades. That passion isn't there as much as it is now. We also wanted to capture our little girls who, the old adage is math and science is for boys. Well, it's not. It's for girls as well. And so we want, if it's hidden away, we want to bring it to the forefront so that they realize, I can do this. I can be a scientist. And we send them to middle school, and hopefully they'll continue next door.
These robotic experiences will provide students with a problem-solving skill set that will be useful for solving all kinds of problems in their academic and personal lives. And now you know what's cool in school.
You're watching District Digest on the Education Channel. Once again, here's Maribel De Armas.
Next, we're going to touch base about domestic violence awareness with Linda Oberhaus, and she's the Executive Director for the Naples Shelter for Abused Women and Children. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So I hear October is a pretty big month for you guys. It's National Domestic Violence Awareness Month.
It is.
Obviously, if it's got a month, it's a big deal. What's the prevalence of domestic violence, not only on the national scale, but here locally?
Well, nationally, domestic violence affects 1 in 4 women and girls and 1 in 7 men. So we refer to it as a national epidemic because that's exactly what it is. Here locally, domestic violence, it tends to, it crosses all socioeconomic boundaries, and it doesn't really discriminate. And so we see it in all of the different communities here in Naples. A lot of people, they tend to stereotype domestic violence. They think it happens just in certain communities or just with certain types of people. But as you'll see with the map that I brought of Collier County, it literally happens in every area of our community.
Sure, as you say, it doesn't discriminate. It crosses all boundaries. So on that vein, and obviously we're a school district, kids are our first priority. How does domestic violence affect children?
Well, domestic violence really has long-term effects on children, and I think some people are naive if they think that because a child hasn't been battered necessarily that they're not going to have long-term implications as a result of being a witness to domestic violence in the home. A lot of kids, they have some regressive behaviors. They may experience bedwetting. They may have nightmares. They may be absent from school because in some cases, I've worked with a lot of kids who they're afraid to go to school because they're afraid of what might happen to mom if they do. So, and then other things happen with kids as well. We know that domestic violence has a generational component. And so without intervention and help for these kids, chances are they're going to be the next generation of victims and batterers.
Sure. So what kind of services do you offer the children? Obviously you have services for the women and men that go to your shelter, and we'll touch base on that, but what about for the children?
Well, we have specialized services for kids in the shelter. We have a children's team that really work closely with the kids in providing intensive counseling if they need it. Individual counseling groups. There's there have been some projects. One is called Love Isn't Black and Blue, for example, where the children, they did artwork as part of this project. And so the same child would do a piece that really described what was happening for them at the time when they came into the shelter, and then they would do a piece that really talked about their hope for the future, for a violence-free life. And those pieces are pretty compelling, which I would think you'll see.
They are. I took a look at the ones that you brought here today, and really they tell the story and really tell you why you do what you do every day. So what about the other services for the women? And I mentioned men as well because you actually do have services for men.
We do. We offer a 60-bed residential shelter here in Naples, a 24-hour crisis hotline. So we have staff available around the clock, 24 hours a day, to meet the needs of anyone who either needs to come into shelter, maybe just needs a little counseling, or safety planning, which is key. We also have an on-site kennel for pets, and in the past, shelters weren't able to offer those kinds of services, and it was really a deterrent to families coming into the shelter because there's a close correlation between domestic violence, child abuse, and animal abuse. And so I think families are more likely now to come in and get the help they need, knowing they can bring their pets with them when they come.
And obviously if there's a child and has a pet, one of the pictures we saw today that you brought had that, and that child has a connection with that pet, obviously.
Yeah, and chances are, and I think in that picture the child had a dog and a cat, it appeared. And chances are both the dog and the cat were in the kennel. It's very cute to see them come home from school in the afternoon, and we have a dog run so they can let their dog out and run in this grassy area. We also have an inside, it's sort of like an atrium where the cats can be outside and get fresh air while they're in a protected environment as well.
Well, as we wrap up here, if let's say one of our viewers might want to get more information or may need help, maybe seeking help, what do they do? How can they go about that?
I think the best thing they can do is call the 1-800 Domestic Violence Hotline, and that number is 1-800-500-1119.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing your time with us here today, and we wish you luck in your awareness month for in October.
Okay, thanks again for having me.
District Digest presents a community update. Here's Leanne Zinzer.
Well, our final guest on District Digest, Patrick Comer, the lead mentor for Destination Graduation Program. Patrick, good to have you on the program.
Good to be here, thank you.
So tell us about Destination Graduation and how it works.
Destination Graduation, we got it started in 2010, started in 2 high schools, Dunbar High School, Cape Coral High School. We're now in 15 high schools, 5 of which are in Collier County. And it's designed, it's a youth work program, that's the core of it, and to teach workforce principles, which really relate very well to the classroom. Do your homework, your class work. Don't be tardy. Get to your class on time. Get to work on time. So there's a lot of workforce skills that we marry together very well. But we work with students who are at risk that need an extra incentive, an extra boost. They have to meet income guidelines. Workforce Investment Act, federal income guidelines, low income. So we're helping the community by putting money back into that area. And then we give the students jobs during the summer, and we incentivize them to say, look, you know what, stay in school, stay out of trouble. Don't be an ISS all the time. Don't be talking back to the teacher because you can't talk back to your supervisor on the job. And we get them to start making the changes they need to make. For whatever reason that they may be behind. Usually they're struggling, their GPA may be down, their basic skills may be down, they may have had juvenile justice issues, just not good decision makers, their moral compass may be a little off. So I kind of call it dad in school, although as I get older it's granddad, grandpa in school. But just try to talk with them and get them to think about the decisions they make, the consequences of the decisions they might make. And the value of work ethic. This is not about giving anything to anybody. They got to earn it. They got to work for it. And if they don't, then for my students, I always tell them I hire, I fire. So, I'm very happy to give a student a job. But when I talk to them, I ask my students, okay, I know you want a job, and I know you want the money, but are you willing to work? because that's the key. You
Sure.
got to be willing to work.
Sure. Well, you talk about financial guidelines as far as getting into the program. Is that the only qualifier? Are there other things that you look at? And do you seek the students out, or do they come to you?
Both. They'll come both ways. Most will come. They'll hear hey, there's the guy on the campus jobs. So sometimes they'll come. Teachers will send recommendations. Assistant principals, counselors will send students that maybe need help. So besides the income, going back to your first question about the income, besides that, could be a wide range of students that may be at risk for dropping out. Maybe in foster care. That tends to be very transient, so we endeavor to get them to settle down and get a little firmness in their life, stability. Like I said, they might have had a juvenile justice issue. Maybe they've been arrested, they've done something they shouldn't have done, and so we work with them. We have employers that are willing to, I think most of us would admit that young and dumb, we all have been at times, as long as we've learned our lesson, put that behind us, and moved on. So they might be pregnant or parenting, already have a child. In foster care, could be homeless. Basic skills deficient. They're just, not where they need to be. And in all honesty, most of the reading skills are really a challenge these days.
How successful has the program been thus far?
Overall, we've been averaging about 94% of our students. And the students we take, we're not taking the honor roll valedictorian type of students. We're going from the students that are struggling and having a hard time. And it's interesting because I had a girl come to me just a few days ago, and she says, I heard this program helps students push, and she says, that's what I need. I need to be pushed. And they recognize sometimes that I need somebody pushing me, because most of the students that I have anyways, they're single parent homes. There's very few dads that are around. They're either in prison or they're just not involved in their lives. And so we just kind of try to fill in that void, give them someone they can talk to around the clock, weekends, at nights. We'll get texts, the mentors will all get texts, and try to be a support for them there.
Obviously the job is a huge attraction. What do you think's the secret that really pushes the students to want to succeed?
We've asked that. We've done some at the end of the program when a student is graduating, give them a questionnaire, and they don't sign it. They just fill it and ask them what they think. And the vast majority all say it's the relationship with the mentor. Just somebody that cares, that they know you're not going to give up on them. You're going to be there for them. You're going to stay on them and just encourage and motivate. When drugs come up, we have that conversation. I'm going to say, look, I'm not a cop, and I'm not going to judge you about the moral aspects of whether you're smoking weed or not. I'm just going to talk to you about how's that working. It's just a big puff of I don't care, everything's cool, man. But you don't need to be everything's cool. You need to be hustling right now. You need to do your best. And so just building a relationship, and it's a relationship with the students, the parents, the guardians that are there, the principals, the teachers. Teachers have been just so helpful and very supportive, and they let me come in their classroom and sit with if I've got a student who's stirring the pot and stirring the classroom up, then I can sit with them and, hey, what's going on? What are we doing today? Just get them to settle down and do their work.
All right. It's a wonderful program. Thank you so much. I mean, a lot of great work. So
We
thanks
enjoy
so much
it.
for
It's
being
going
with
well.
us. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'd like to thank all of our guests on District Digest, and we'd like to thank you for watching. For Greg Turcetta, Maribel De Armas, and everyone here on the Education Channel, we'll see you next time.
Join us again for District Digest, your inside look at the Collier County Public School District. The show is produced by the District Communications and Community Engagement Department and the Education Channel, your window to education.